What's up everyone, this is Adam from nerdmentality.com, and I would like to show you guys how to get your 3D video from your Nintendo 3DS onto YouTube and have it display properly in 3D, because apparently that is quite a feat. It's very simple to make a mistake or skip a step or something. Unfortunately, you can't just upload it to YouTube straight from the 3DS's SD card. If you do that, then it will not display properly in 3D. It'll look very, very strange. It'll annoy you, it'll annoy your viewers, and we don't want that. So this video is going to go over pretty much exactly the same things that the written tutorial goes over. But you know, some people prefer to read tutorials and others prefer to watch tutorials. So now you have both at your disposal. Now this tutorial is going to be showing you how to do this process on a Windows machine. If you'd like to learn how to do it on a Mac, go here. If you can't see annotations, you're viewing on your cell phone or something, the link to the video is down in the description. So with that all said, let me show you what we need. Obviously, we need our Nintendo 3DS, and it needs to be upgraded with firmware 3.0.0-5 or later. The way you can tell what firmware your 3DS has, see if we can get a good angle. Alright, that's not bad. Go down to your system settings and just click A. Then you see right up here at the top, it tells you the version number. So again, if that reads 3.0.0-5 or above, you are good to go. The next thing we'll need is an SD card, which comes in the 3DS. So we got that right here. Now it is recommended that you turn the 3DS all the way off before you take the SD card out. You'll notice that I didn't. If you choose not to turn the 3DS off when you take it out, just make sure that you're at the home screen and you're not using an application, especially one that uses the SD card, such as the camera application or something. The next thing we'll need is an SD card reader. I have an external card reader and it connects via USB, but some computers already have these built into them. Then, of course, we need a computer. We need some video editing software. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using Sony Vegas Pro 11. And then, of course, we need an internet connection and a YouTube account. Now, believe it or not, 3D glasses and a 3D-enabled monitor are not required. YouTube has a lot of different 3D viewing options, and one of them doesn't require glasses at all. You just cross your eyes and you can kind of see a 3D image. Obviously, that'll put a lot of strain on your eyes, so it is recommended to get some 3D glasses. So the easiest way to do that is just to get these dual color 3D glasses. You know, you've got your old red and blue 3D glasses, and you can view these on any type of screen. It doesn't have to be 3D enabled at all. It could just be your normal computer monitor. Or if you do have a 3D enabled monitor, you will have to have, you know, some kind of special glasses that work with your computer and its software. For me, I'm using nVidia 3D Vision, and these are the nVidia Active Shutter glasses. And then if you are viewing with nVidia 3D Vision, you'll also need to be using Windows 7 and have an Aero theme enabled. And you will also have to view the videos with Mozilla Firefox 4 or above. It can't be any other browser at this point, but hopefully there'll be some support added later. And that is all that you need to do this process. So now let's get started. Alright, so first thing we need to do is obviously shoot some 3D video on our 3DS. So in order to do that, we go to the 3DS camera. Wait for that to open. Alright, now once we're there, click on the video camera icon up here so that we're shooting video instead of shooting photos. And then from there, we're pretty much ready to shoot videos. So just press A to start recording. Hey guys, this is Adam from nerdmentality.com, and this video is going to be a result of getting our 3D video from the 3DS to YouTube using a Windows machine. And then you press A to stop recording. And then of course you can just come down here and mess with some of the settings. If you don't see these little buttons down here, just press this little red lever. You know, come over here, mess with the different special shooting modes, interval, stop motion, montage, that kind of stuff. Then over here, whoop, not the parrot. You know, we can do low light if we want, come over to the manual controls, adjust some of these, you know, get different films. So, you know, you've got black and white, you know, sepia, negative, solarized, that kind of cool stuff. And then if you do adjust those, you know, it's just normal recording from there. So just press A to start recording, A again to stop recording. And then that is it for shooting on the Nintendo 3DS. And after that, you know, we go back to our home menu, So, press home. Make sure there is not any suspended software, so we're going to close that by pressing X, A to confirm. And now at this point, we're going to take the SD card out of the 3DS. You can turn the 3DS off if you'd like to. In fact, I'd recommend doing that. I'm not going to. But if you don't turn it off, make sure you did just what I did. Go to the home menu. You don't have any suspended software, especially something that's using the SD card like, Nintendo Nintendo camera. So take the SD card out of the 3DS, just like that. Then we get the card reader. Obviously, you're going to put the SD card in the card reader, whether that is an external card reader or it's built into computer, doesn't matter, same thing. So now everything from here on out is going to be on the computer, so let's go to that. Alright guys, so here we are on the Windows machine. I'm going to plug in my card reader, and it'll pop up. I'm going to open it up. So we want to go to the DCIM folder. That's where all the videos and photos are stored. And then all of these folders in here are just ways to basically separate those videos and photos. So let's go to this latest one. And down here, this should be the one that we just recorded. Hey guys, this is Adam from nerdmentality.com, and this video is going to be a result of getting our 3D video. And it looks like it is, so good. So we'll copy this, and then just paste it anywhere on your computer, doesn't matter where. So I'm going to paste it right here. Okay. Alright, so now that's here. Alright, so now we're going to put this into some video editing software. What I'm going to be using is Sony Vegas 11. So what we can do, open Sony Vegas, take the video and just drag it down here, put it into the timeline, and click on Vegas. Alright, so you notice right now that there are two videos. That is because one is from the left camera and one is from the right camera of the 3DS. So you can see those angles are just a tiny bit different. If you did like I did and you kind of dropped it in the middle of the timeline down here, just drag it to the beginning just to make things easier on us. So up here, you'll notice that this is not a 3D video yet. That's okay. It's supposed to be like that. So what we can do is go up to File, then go to Properties. And then you can just go up here and kind of change your settings and whatnot. So right now I have the project set to be in HD 1080i. You can hit this little drop down and pick what you want. Doesn't really matter. The 3DS's videos are 480 by 240 at 20 frames per second. So if you want to, work with something a little closer to that, you can do that. And then you can kind of customize stuff. You can enter in numbers here for the width and height. You can change if it's progressive or interlaced. You can change the frame rate down here. But the most important thing is to set the stereoscopic 3D mode. Right now it's set to off, which basically means that Vegas has no idea that what we've just put in it is a 3D video. So we want to click on this little drop-down box, and you see that we have a bunch of options here. Now it's not so important which option you select, because all this is going to do is change how we're viewing it over here. It doesn't actually change how the video is going to be output when we're done with it. But for now, let's just do anaglyphic red and cyan, because that's probably the easiest to see. Hit apply, hit OK. And now you'll notice that it's still not in 3D. Don't worry, we've still got one more step to go. So what you do is you click on one of these, hold Control on the keyboard, click this one, then we're going to right-click either one of them, doesn't matter, and go to Pair as Stereoscopic 3D Subclip and left-click. And now, yeah, that should be looking a little bit 3D. So you see we've got one angle in red and one angle in cyan. Then you'll also notice that, this video kind of disappeared. That's because we've combined the two into one stereoscopic 3D video clip. And now all we have left with this is just to output it as a 3D video. So in order to do that, we come up to File, go to Render As, and that'll bring up the Render As window. First thing we want to do in here, obviously, is name our video. So I'm just going to call this Windows Tutorial _ Anaglyph. And we can come over here to the Browse button and choose where you want to save it if you like. This is actually where I'm going to save it, so I'm just going to click on Save. And then down here, you'll see a ton of different formats that we can output this video in. Feel free to do something differently than me. It doesn't have to be exactly this. You can experiment and see what you like best. But I'm going to show you what I found the best results to be. So what I like to do is Sony AVC MVC. And if this isn't already expanded, you can just click that little triangle to expand it. and then scroll down a little bit until we get to AVC HD 1920 by 1080-60i, and then come out in this bigger window, scroll down, go to Customize Template, and then you can change any of the settings in here. That's fine. Again, feel free to experiment. I'm not going to change anything, but what you do need to do, this is the most important part of this entire process, is come over here to the Project tab and click on the Stereoscopic 3D Mode drop-down box. Now what this choice will do is determine how our video is output as a 3D video, and this is so important because YouTube only accepts a few different 3D formats. It will accept the side-by-side half and the top-bottom half. And actually it'll accept side-by-side full and top-bottom full, but they won't display correctly. So if you do choose side-by-side full, it'll appear in 3D, but it'll be stretched horizontally. And then, same for top-bottom full. So if you choose that, it'll appear in 3D, but it'll be stretched vertically. Or you could choose any of these anaglyphic methods. The video would be viewable in 3D on YouTube as long as you had the right colored glasses, but it would technically be a 2D video. And then on top of that, all of these anaglyphic choices are viewable in YouTube's 3D options, provided that you uploaded a correctly 3D formatted video. So really the only reason you would choose any of these options here is in case you wanted to have your video only viewable as an anaglyphic video and you didn't want it to be viewed in any other kind of 3D format and you didn't want it to be viewed in 2D. I'm not sure why you would do that, but hey, who knows. But what I like to do is side-by-side half, so we're going to choose that. And then video rendering quality, just hit the drop down and go to best. And then I also like to take this crosstalk cancellation slider and just move it all the way up so that it reads 0.1. And then that's it. Again, feel free to go through and change any of these settings, but for me, that's all I need to do. So once you've done that, just click OK. And then we're pretty much ready to go. So just click render and wait for your video to render. Now, this is one way to do it, but it's kind of specific to Vegas. I don't really know of many other video editors that can edit 3D video like this, but we can do something a little bit different in case your video editor doesn't work with 3D videos like this. If this is fine for you and this works, you can do this in your video editor, then skip ahead to about 17 minutes and 54 seconds, and I'll show you what to do next. Otherwise, just keep following along. So what I'm going to do now is just undo one step. So now we have our two video clips back. And then remember when we come up here to File Properties that we had set the Stereoscopic 3D mode. For this method, it doesn't really matter if this is on or off, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to turn it off. Press OK. And now what we're going to do is we're going to manually make a side-by-side 3D video. So what that means is that we're going to take one of these camera angles, shrink it down, and put it on the left side. Get the other camera angle, shrink it down, and put it on the right side. Because again, that will manually create a side-by-side half 3D video, which is one of the 3D video formats that YouTube accepts. So in order to do that, we need to figure out which video angle is which. So let's just click this mute button here and see what happens. So it looks like when we mute it, this angle is more to the left than this one. So that means that this bottom one here is the left angle and this one here is the right angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this top one to the right and this bottom one to the left. So the way we do that is by clicking on the first one. We want this slider to be at the very beginning of the timeline, so let's go down here and click the Go to Start button, and then come up here to this Track Motion button. And that is going to bring up the Track Motion window. So this rectangle here is just simulating the frame over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink it to half of its width and then move it to the right side of the screen because remember this top one is the right angle. So first what we need to do is come up here and unclick this lock aspect ratio. Otherwise when we shrink the width, the height is going to shrink as well, which is something we don't want. And then we're going to come over here to width, click in the box, and enter half the width of 1920. Now you may notice that your numbers are different than mine. That's because I'm working in 1920 by 1080. You can be working in some other size, it doesn't matter. The method stays the same. You still just need to shrink the width to half of what it originally is. So in my case, half of 1920 is going to be 960. Press enter. And then you'll notice over here that our video is kind of shrunk. That's good. That's exactly what we want. So now what we need to do is we need to move this video over to the right of the frame. And the way we do that is by coming over here to X and entering in 480. Again, your number might be a little bit different than mine. It depends on what size video you're working in. But the way you figure out what this number is you just take the full width, which for me was 1920, and then divide it by 4. And that's going to be what you enter in here. So now that that's done, you'll notice that the side of this video is flush with the y-axis, which is exactly what we want. And then over here in the preview, you'll notice the same thing, that this top video takes up exactly half of the frame. So now we can exit out of this, click on this bottom video, do the same thing. So click on the track motion button, and then again, do the exact same thing. So let's make sure that the lock aspect ratio is unchecked. It is, good. So now let's change the width to half of its original size, which for me is 960. And again, come up here to X, but this time instead of entering positive 480, we're going to do negative 480 so that it goes to the left side of the screen. And again, your number may be a little bit different. It's just 1/4 of the original width of the video. So again, you'll notice that the right side is flush with the y-axis. That's exactly what we want. And then over here in the preview, we see that as well. Now I notice I did make a mistake, and actually it's a good thing I did, because this is a very easy mistake to make. So what I did is I changed the size of this bottom video kind of in the middle of the timeline. You'll notice that we're in the middle right now. So if we go back to the beginning of the video, you'll notice that the size of the video will change over time. So you can see we're at the beginning of the video and it's full, and then we go through the video and it kind of changes, it shrinks and shrinks until we get here, at which point it's going to be the size that we just set. So in order to fix this, we just need to go back into the track motion and look down here, and you see these little 2 diamonds. Those are keyframes. So what we need to do is just click on this first keyframe at the very, very left, right click it, delete, click this keyframe that we have here, and left click and drag it all the way to the beginning on the left. And then exit out, and we should be fine. So let's go back to the beginning and play.
Hey guys,
and good, nothing changes size, so everything is good to go. So now we're almost done. All we need to do is just output this video. So we do that by going up to File and Render As. Then this Render As window pops up. And the first thing we need to do is, of course, name our video. So let's just call this Windows Tutorial _ side by side. And then we can come over here to the Browse button, choose our save location. So this is already where I want to save it, so I'm just going to click Save. And then you'll notice down here there are a ton of different formats that you can output the video as. And this is something that you can do differently than me. I'm going to show you what I found the best results to be, but feel free to experiment and see what you like best. But I prefer coming down here to Sony AVC MVC, and then scrolling down a little bit until we get to AVC HD 1920 by 1080 60i. And then if you'd like, you can scroll down in this main window, come to Customize Template, and change some of these options in here. You know, click these different tabs, change the audio, blah, 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 blah. But for this method, you don't have to do that, so we're just going to click Cancel. And now that we have everything set, we're just going to click Render and wait for our video to render. Okay, so our video is done rendering, and whether you skipped ahead from the anaglyphic method or you continued watching and did the side-by-side manual method, it doesn't matter, because everything from here on out is going to be the same. So, if you'd like, you can click Open, and you can view your new side-by-side 3D video.
Hey guys,
of course, it's not going to look 3D, it's going to look somewhat like this.
This video is going
so
to
let's
be
go ahead and exit this. And now what we need to do is we need to upload this to YouTube. So bring up a internet browser. Head on over to youtube.com. Make sure that you're signed into your YouTube account. Go to Upload. Click on Select Files from your computer. Navigate to wherever you saved your video. I'm already at the folder where we saved ours, so let's just scroll down. And you'll see we have the 2 videos that we just rendered. It's not going to matter which one we upload because these 2 are pretty much exactly the same video. So let's just click on the anaglyphic. Click OK. And we're going to have to wait for it to upload, but while it's doing that, let's just go ahead and name this Windows Tutorial Anaglyphic. Get rid of that. And I'm going to make this private because you guys can't see this until the tutorial's up. While it's uploading, of course, you can enter a description, put in tags, whatever. But then once it's done uploading, of course, you're going to have to wait for it to be finished processing. Alright, so now that our video is done processing, we can click on this link that it gives us and look at our video. Now you will notice that it is still not in 3D. Don't worry, it's supposed to be like this. We still have a few more steps to go. So what we need to do is come up here to Edit Video, go to 3D Video, and then click on This Video is already 3D. And when you do that, you'll notice down here that it gives us this dialog, and then also we have this red and cyan video now. So if you have some red and blue glasses, you can go ahead and preview this and see if it looks right. And if it does, you'll be good to go. But let me just show you some options we have up here for 3D formats. Since we rendered our video as a side-by-side half with the left video on the left side, this is fine for us, but in case you did something different, there are a few other choices. Side-by-side with the right video on the left side, so that's basically if we had taken that top video from the side-by-side method and put it on the left instead of the right. You'll see we have two top to bottom options, and that's very similar to side-by-side, except instead of having one video on the left side and one on the right, one's going to be on the top and one's going to be on the bottom. But again, we did side-by-side left on left, so let's click that and then go to Save Changes. And then there you go. That'll be all that most of you have to do. So congratulations, your video is now in 3D. And then as an added bonus, you can come over here to this little 3D button, click it, and you'll see that we have a bunch of different 3D viewing options. However, if you view 3D with nVidia 3D Vision, you're still not done. There's still a few more steps to go. The main one is just waiting. For whatever reason, it takes a little bit longer for YouTube to add nVidia 3D Vision support to your video. So again, that's just the main thing. You'll have to wait. But there are a few requirements for viewing 3D video on YouTube with nVidia 3D Vision, so let's get into that. Okay, so once again, unless you are viewing 3D with nVidia 3D Vision, you are done. Congratulations, you got your video from the 3DS onto YouTube, and now it displays properly in 3D. So very good. However, if you do use nVidia 3D Vision, there are a few more things you need. First of all, you need to wait a little bit longer because YouTube needs time to add nVidia 3D Vision support to your video. The next thing you'll need is Mozilla Firefox. So, go to just mozilla.org, download the latest Firefox. Any Firefox version 4 or above will work. So, once we download and install Firefox, we can open Firefox up and just head on over to this page. I'll put the link down in the description, but it is www.3dvisionlive.com/3dv-html5-detection. And what this page does is it just basically lets us know that we have the two main things needed to view videos on YouTube using nVidia 3D Vision. And YouTube uses HTML5 stereo view in order to work with nVidia 3D Vision. So as long as these two boxes are green, you are pretty much good to go. So again, you need Firefox 4 or above, and you need to have an arrow theme enabled. So if these two boxes are green, let's go ahead and click this link right here and select HTML5 Stereo View nVidia 3D Vision. Now it's giving us this HTML5 error because you can't use HTML5 to view YouTube videos when they're embedded. So we can just click here, and then this should work using HTML5. Obviously, it's not going to look right on this video because this video is in 2D. But if you've been following along and you've got this pulled up on your 3D enabled screen, then you should be viewing it in 3D. And then remember, you can come down here to this little 3D button and change the 3D viewing options. And that is pretty much it. Hopefully you all found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And remember to check out the full written tutorial on nerdmentality.com. Other than that, have fun shooting 3D videos on your Nintendo 3DS.